Picture this. You walk into a room full of serious investors and ask them for $2.5 million without almost enough real preparation, a flimsy plan, and a family business founded on more drama than strategy. That's exactly what happened in Season 7, Episode 2 of Sister Wives. And not only was it awkward, it was one of the most cringe-worthy, second-hand, embarrassment-inducing moments in the entire history of the show. There stood Cody Brown, chest puffed out, acting like he was unveiling the next Silicon Valley unicorn. But the reality? The whole thing was falling apart before the pitch even began. The rest of the family? Scattered, emotional, resentful. This wasn't a pitch meeting, it was a slow-motion train wreck, a public family meltdown for total strangers to witness. Hey guys, I'm Anya, and welcome back to Reality Recap. If you're into dissecting the real drama hiding behind picture-perfect facades, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. We never miss a moment that actually matters. And seriously, drop your thoughts below. I know you've got opinions on this one because this pitch wasn't just a business misstep. It was a tornado of ego, dysfunction, and denial, all wrapped up in color-coded binders and painfully fake smiles. Power struggles, tantrums, and the kind of misguided optimism that makes you want to hurl your remote control at the television. Cody would do anything to prove he could do it. Robyn? Crying first. Janelle was carrying the bulk of the planning load but was excluded from the decisions. And Mary? She wore that trying not to be seen yet keeping her own inner storm in abeyance expression. This was the moment the Brown family illusion of a single, happy, together big team finally started to come undone. And it all fell apart over a $2.5 million fantasy. Those were the fledgling Las Vegas years, and the Browns continued to dream that they might do it all together, raise children, celebrate holidays, manage plural marriage, and build a thriving business as one. That dream coalesced into My Sister Wife's Closet, their boutique-style jewelry and accessory company, which was designed to be an expression of their values and plural lifestyle. Theoretically, it was genuine, a family business born on their own special voyage. Behind the scenes, however, warning signs already existed. As usual, Cody had the vision, or at least he thought he did. He saw it as a national name, drawing major investors and achieving economic stability for the whole family. But he skimped on a grand step, one that actual businesses need: structure, experience, and unity. Cody had energy, sure, but direction? Strategy? Not there. It was all bombast, showmanship, and catchphrases without a real plan of action. And it wasn't long before they didn't see eye to eye. Right from the beginning, Janelle's mindset was entirely different. While Cody dreamt about impressing investors, Janelle was crunching numbers in her head, and the forecast wasn't bright. She wasn't convinced the company was ready, and worse still, she was aware they weren't. When Cody would toss out some such statement as, "We're building an empire," you could practically see Janelle rolling her eyes. She wasn't being negative, she was being realistic. Even friends who actually worked in the investment world told them straight up, "Don't pitch yet. You're not prepared. You'll come off sloppy." But of course, Cody brushed it off. He was locked in. This was the shot. And he wasn't about to let reality or friendly advice slow him down. The dream of the family empire was still in his mind, but the cracks were progressing at a fast rate. Then the spiral officially began. The Browns decided to go for it and pitch My Sister Wife's Closet to serious investors, with only 20 days to make it happen. That meant 20 days to come up with visuals, assign roles, put together a whole pitch, have financials down to a science, and somehow get 5 grown adults with completely different minds all on the same page. And who steps up to be in charge? Cody, naturally. Now, whether Cody should have been the boss is a whole debate in and of itself. But from what we saw, the answer's a definite no. He approached the entire process like it was all this pep rally fluff, always talking about goals and vision boards. Never mind that. Cody wasn't doing it for the grind, though. He was doing it to make a point about being the provider, the head of the household. But here's the thing. Being the head of a family is one thing. Being the head of a business team, that's a different sort of skill entirely. And that's where Cody fell short. Right away, the planning sessions descended into anarchy. Everybody had a notebook, but no one had a clue what they were doing. Janelle, who, to be honest, should have been directing the entire production, was seconds from walking out. She kept raising good points: structure, visual interests, timing, and nobody was actually listening to her. Mary was pretty much subdued, only piping up every now and again, unless to contribute a note of snarky sarcasm. There's a moment where she cracks, "Why are you supposed to like us in 20 days?" And someone off camera snaps back, "Mary, shut up." Funny? Maybe. But also completely awful in its accuracy. That was the dynamic they were operating under. And behind all that tension, Robyn was already unraveling. She was spiraling into anxious territory, fixated on Mary's level of commitment. Mary had recently mentioned wanting to go back to school, and instead of supporting her, Robyn saw it as betrayal. The paranoia kicked in early and tinted every interaction from that point forward. Power struggles started bubbling up fast, and with only 20 days on the calendar, they were already coming apart at the seams. Instead of worrying about their pitch, marketing, and product plan, all of a sudden, everything veered hard into emotional chaos. What was meant to be joint planning turned into one of the most charged moments ever aired between the wives. It began when Mary said something completely reasonable, even honorable. She wanted to go back to school. It wasn't about leaving the family behind, and it wasn't about leaving the business. She simply wished to do something personal and fulfilling. But Robyn didn't see it that way. The second Mary mentioned school, Robyn's entire expression changed. You could literally watch her panic set in, the sadness, the control. Robyn instantly saw Mary's self-growth as abandonment. For her, this wasn't about a degree, it was about being left behind. Robyn confronted Mary directly and told her that it seemed like she was emotionally checking out. And instead of listening or trying to understand, Robyn persisted, asking Mary to make a promise. A straight-up, long-term, forever promise regarding my sister-wife's closet. Not just in the pitch, but for life. That was where the boundary had been crossed, by emotional manipulation or plain fear of talking, or an ugly mix of both. It wasn't right. Mary tried to calm her, quietly, gently. She explained that she was still on board, with the team, but that wasn't going to be enough. Robyn didn't just want an answer. She required certain words, said in a certain way, in order to feel safe. But all that emotional drama? It wasn't about business, and that was the real issue. This was not about selling jewelry. It was about insecurity, fear, shifting bonds, and everyone trying to hold on to control in an enterprise slipping from their grasp. The real business plan took a back seat. The emotional fault lines rose to the surface and deteriorating day by day. With tension building and time running out, the Browns turned to an old standby, Nancy's therapy. She'd helped them navigate everything from jealousy to getting along for years. But this time, all business. Of course, it didn't quite work out that way. The session turned into another reminder that they were in no way prepared to be in front of investors. Nancy asked a straightforward question. Who's the CFO? And without even thinking, Cody exclaimed, Robyn. And that did it, Janelle snapped. You could see the fire of frustration in her eyes, the uncooked rage. She was the one who had been working late nights, building the business model, balancing numbers and setting goals. And now she was blindsided, not asked, not consulted, merely told that Robyn had been selected for the job. It wasn't careless, it was rude, and it confirmed what Janelle had most likely feared all along. Cody was going to do what Cody did, no matter what everyone else thought. And then, typical of his kind, Cody shifted focus back to himself. He launched into a melodramatic, egotistical speech. "When have I ever been in charge?" He shouted, angry, sarcastic, loud. Here he was, trying to take over a company he had no idea how to manage. Robyn, sitting over in the corner, said nothing, trying nothing to dispel the tension growing in the room. Christine, though, tried to rally the troops, inserting some enthusiasm into the chaos. But the mood in the room? Confused. Tense. No plan, no unity. A whirlwind of disorganization in business casual clothes. And pitch day? Imminent. Days remaining, the Browns booked a dress rehearsal in front of a business consultant. This was it, their final chance to get it together before presenting in front of real investors. And then, out of nowhere, Christine delivered. She spoke with passion, was natural, and, most amazingly, she tied the product back to their family heritage in a way that actually made sense. For a brief moment, it seemed like maybe, just maybe, they would be able to pull it off. Then it was Robyn's turn, and things imploded quickly. She came in noticeably nervous, and the moment she started speaking, she broke down in tears. She said she was worried she would cry during the actual pitch, and then proceeded to cry anyway. The emotion was real, no doubt about it. But in that setting, it came across as unstable. Janelle sat still, silent, watching the disaster unfold. You could almost see what was happening in her head, wondering how on earth they were going to get through this. And then came the moment of truth. Pitch day. Cody started out with all his usual enthusiasm. He burst forth with, "We are my sister wife's closet!" Enthusiastic, but content poor. Christine was next, but stumbled her way through nervousness. Robyn shed a few more tears during her part. The whole presentation was stiff, halting. They were looking for $2.5 million in exchange for 20% of the company. A lofty request, especially when you add in the lack of structure, strategy, or record. The expression on the investors' faces said it all. Vacant, unimpressed, silent. The deal was dead before it ever got a chance to breathe. None of them invested in the vision, because the vision did not exist. Then one of their investor friends pulled them aside and didn't bother with small talk. He said the other investors hadn't been very impressed with the Browns or their presentation. They showed up out of respect for the friend who invited them, not because they saw a good business. That hurt, especially after weeks of psyching themselves up, bragging that this was going to be their moment of arrival. It forced the Browns to confront what they had been attempting to bypass. Ambition wasn't enough. You can dream big all you want, but without structure, leadership, and actual teamwork, it's nothing more than a dream. And that's what this was. A dream, not a business. The signs were all over the room, in Mary's quiet doubt, in Janelle's clear frustration. It was obvious. They didn't believe in it anymore. My sister wife's closet wasn't the family's financial future. It was wishful thinking, disguised as a plan. And then, suddenly, the cracks, in the company and in their relationships, were laid bare for the world to see. What was supposed to be their golden moment became a humiliating public failure. But in all of that, we saw much more than a blown pitch. We were afforded an uncensored look at the Browns, who they really are when things get close. Cody's need to be in control, even when it was fairly clear he shouldn't be. wasn't possible to ignore. Robyn's emotional meltdown worked to show just how much all of this rode on her. And Janelle? She was the glue that held it all together, even as her try didn't get seen time and time again. What we witnessed was not just a business failure. It was a glimpse into a family stuck in its own complex web, desperately trying to make something work that simply wasn't ready. And trust me, it was not the first time that dysfunction played out on camera. So, now I'd love to hear from you. If you were in that room, what would you have done? Would you have fought for a real plan? Called out Cody? Or walked away entirely? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more brutally honest recaps of Sister Wives and all things TLC, right here on Reality Recap. Thanks for watching so much. I'll catch you in the next one.